Hi everyone, we were resetting up to get started. I'll start from the beginning again. I'm a big advocate of reading to children. If there's one thing I told every parent they must do, and if there was limited time, it would be read to your child at night. It's because I think reading is vital for developing imagination. It sets children in different contexts. It puts them in different shoes, different eyes, gives them a perspective of different worlds, different times, different experiences, and different feelings. So, it is a world of possibilities, and it's a great way for one to bond with children. From my own perspective, I've really enjoyed this phase with the boys when they were little. It was the favorite part of my day. It used to help me unwind. They would pick their own books, sometimes two. This one would pick five, and we would cuddle up, and it was a time where they could ask as many questions as they wanted. It was our safe space. We would discuss things. Arjun would typically go and think about something, come back in a day or two, and surprise us with a deep thought. Adi, on the other hand, was fairly quick and would ask questions immediately. So many left field questions from this one, and I'll give you some examples on this book. But the most interesting habit I think he formed was the fact that he would pick a word, say, "I don't understand it, can you explain it to me?" And within a week use it in the context of a sentence. And it was a great way for him to build his vocabulary. Besides that, I can go on and on about why reading is important. It helps you with sight words. There are patterns. Children recognize how to read certain words. They learn how to enunciate, how to pronounce, how to express emotions, and questions come from all over, right? So overall, it's been one of my most fun experiences. I'm just going to ask these two what they liked about our nightly reading sessions.
My mom and my dad would always make voices for each of the characters. So, take an example from the book. For the cat, she'd always do a really strange voice, a really high-pitched one. And the busker, which is a singer, she would do a really deep, middle tone kind of voice. So it's really funny to listen to her recreate all of the characters.
And what was your favorite part, Arjun?
I think just spending time as a family. Just before we sleep, we had the thought lingering, and while we sleep, and as a family, we could spend that time together. And also, I am a drama student, and I think these moments are what helped me develop my skills. It's what made me pick drama as a subject, and I'm really grateful for those moments.
Okay, great. So the book we picked was Tabby McTat. Julia Donaldson is one of our favorite authors. This book is illustrated by Axel Scheffer. They've done quite a few books together. This used to be, as you can see, it's fairly dog-eared, has been read many, many times between us, and it used to be one of our favorite songs. So I am going to go through with this book reading with you, and I hope you and your children enjoy it. So Tabby McTat was a busker's cat with a meow that was loud and strong. The two of them sang of this and that, and people threw coins in their old checkered hat, and this was their favorite song. Me, you, and the old guitar, how perfectly, perfectly happy we are. Me, you, and the old guitar, how perfectly, perfectly happy we are. One morning, when Fred ate some bacon and bread, McTat took a stroll round the block, then stopped, for there was on the doorstep a gorgeous, glossy and green-eyed cat. She was black with one snowy white sock. Sock and McTat had a cat-to-cat chat, and that's how their story began. For while they were chatting of this and that, a thief had his eye on the old checkered hat. He eyed it, he snatched it, he ran. The busker gave a chase, but he tripped on a lace, and crash in a flash he was down. He broke his leg, and he banged his head, and he ended up in a hospital bed in a faraway part of town. "Goodbye," McTat said. "I have to get back to Fred." But where was the busker gone? The sun went down and the sky grew black. The stars came out, but he didn't come back. McTat lingered on and on. A few weeks later, Sock took a stroll round the block and found her new friend looking thin. "He's gone off and left me," said Tabby McTat. Then Sock said, "My people, Prunella and Pat, would gladly find room for a fine tabby cat." She was right, and they took McTat in. Next morning, old Fred left his hospital bed and found his way back to the square. But a brass band stood there where the pair had once sat, and the band played this and the band played that. And Fred looked all around for his loud meow cat, but Tabby McTat wasn't there. Now, McTat had a wife and a very full life with plenty of things to do, like washing Prunella and pouncing on Pat and hiding the keys for the car under the mat and keeping the newspapers nice and flat and giving the pens an occasional bat and nibbling this and nibbling that. But he dreamed of his friend with the old checkered hat and always woke up with a meow. And often he said, "What happened to Fred?" And his pals took him back to the square, but a conjurer stood where the pair once sat. And he pulled out this and he pulled out that, and people threw coins in the tall black hat, but the busker was never there. One morning, Sock said, "Look under the bed and see the new 3 kittens I've had." And Soames looked like this, and Susan looked like that, and the littlest kitten called Samuel Sprat looked exactly the same as his dad. So these were the 3 little kittens. This is Soames, this is Samuel, and this is little Samuel Sprat. Susan, sorry. The 3 kittens grew up and they learned how to mew, and McTat sometimes sang his song. And Samuel Sprat with tabby grey fur had a deafening mew and a very loud purr, and he simply loved singing along. Me, you, and the old guitar, how perfectly, perfectly happy we are. Me, you, and the old guitar, how perfectly happy we are. When Susan and Soames found very good homes, their parents were happy and proud. There was one home like this and one home like that. But nobody wanted poor Samuel Sprat. They all just said his voice was too loud. Now, Tabby McTat was a home-loving cat, but he couldn't stop dreaming of Fred. And one day, he called for his wife and his son, and he told them, "There's something that just has to be done. I must go and find him," he said. So up and down and all over town, he wandered a whole week long, for many a morning and afternoon, by the light of the sun and the light of the moon, till he heard a familiar song. Just me and the old guitar. If I had a cat, I'd be happier far. Just me and the old guitar. With my cat, I'd be happier far. "It's Tabby McTat! It's my long-lost cat!" Old friend was ecstatically glad. Then the 2 of them sang of this and that, and people threw coins in their new checkered hat. But why did McTat feel sad? He was missing his wife and his comfortable life, and the dozens of things to do, like washing Prunella and pouncing on Pat and hiding the car keys under the mat and keeping the newspaper nice and flat and giving the pens an occasional bat. But how could he tell the busker that? Then out of the shadows sprang Samuel Sprat.
"Oh, please let me be the new busker's cat."
He said that with his deafening meow. Now Samuel Sprat is the busker's cat with a meow that is loud and strong. The 2 of them sing of this and that, though Samuel Sprat sings a little bit flat, and people throw coins in the old checkered hat. And this is their favorite song. Me, you, and the old guitar, how perfectly, perfectly happy we are. Me, you, and the old guitar, how perfectly happy we are. And that's the end of this wonderful story. I hope you enjoyed it. I thought it would be worthwhile us talking about a few things that we, when we were talking through the story, learned. And it's good for some of the memories to sort of jog back. Why we love this book was, I think it helped, for the children to understand the whole notion of transitioning and adapting to change. The journey, it starts happily, then it becomes sad, and then it becomes again happy, and the ending is happy, and kids love that. But it shows that the transition doesn't necessarily mean that you're severing ties. It just means that you're forming new social bonds and connections. It depicted a multitude of social milieus. You know, there were two families, different types of families who adopt these children, and as he goes to find Fred, the illustrations are very rich. It talks about the different parts of town that the child goes through. A meaningful explanation around this, at least helps these to understand that people come from different backgrounds, and what really it means is you can still be happy, and you know, money and materialism is not everything. Animals emote. We have a dog, and I think the empathy for animals came from some of these books where, you know, Tabby spoke about joy, spoke about separation, angst, love, delight, missing. A compassion towards animals comes through these processes when we're vocalizing them, and even though they can't speak, we understand that they have feelings. Do you want to say something, Abhi?
Tabby McTat is real.
So one of the questions that this impertinent one used to ask, where is the daddy in that family? It was Pat and Prunella who adopted him, and why does Tabby McTat have two mommies? And so we used to have this conversation around the fact that families would be different. I don't know whether you remember, you used to ask this question. These are my memories from it. Last and the funniest thing was, I used to keep telling them, tie your shoelaces. If anything you learn from the story is tie your shoelaces. It was my favorite lesson. It was an open-ended question on what happened if Fred had tied his laces and hadn't fallen. How would life be for Tabby McTat? And the answers ranged from he wouldn't have found the love of his life, and he might have been sad for that, to saying maybe he wouldn't have realized those feelings and he might have been happy for that. So tie your shoelaces, something that I still haven't been able to get both of you to inculcate. Do you remember that lesson from Tabby McTat? I'm sure you don't.
I do.
Did you shy your leg? You do.
He doesn't tie his laces. He just tucks them in.
Okay. Every now and then we find these books. I think we're fortunate to, you know, not only come across these books which are simple but multifaceted, books that are well written, they're visually beautiful, and offer a range of themes for us to talk about. So these type of books not appeal to children. I, as an adult, love them still. I go back to them, and I know at 15, if we pick up one of these books, Arjun will come and say, hey, let's read that again. So I hope, you know, you've enjoyed this session, and many of you think about reading more actively to your children, and please do share videos of you doing this with your kids. I know that these were some of my most precious memories, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to rekindle them with my two little precious gems. Thank you. Bye-bye.